Ball League is sponsored by Honda. We're kicking off our season with an all-pro lineup of cars. Honda, we make it simple. Light beer, everything you always wanted in a beer and less. And by Sears Tire and Auto Center, home of straight talk, good values, and satisfaction.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Giants Stadium. I'm Vin Scully along with John Madden. And, John, there's a problem for the Giants. They're down 7-3. They have the ball, and they are literally trying to eat up the clock. And then suddenly Billy Taylor fumbles, and what it turns out to be is a three-point gift to the Eagles, and they go off the field somewhat down. As Ray Perkins, what would you do at halftime?
Well, what you try and do is you try and go in and say, look, forget that. But you know, he wanted to get in without that. He was satisfied when they were down 7-3 that they'd go in there and regroup and come out for the second half. And then when something disastrous happens to you, and that was disastrous, then you go in and you're always trying to say it's okay, and you never get really to what you want to do in the next half.
It's very easy for the defense to get emotional, and the Giant defensive squad reflected the emotionalism of the crowd, and they played with a lot of fervor in the first half. It's very hard for the offense to suddenly get back up, isn't it?
Right, it is, and I think that's one thing that the Giants have improved is their defense, as I watched in their first game. But the thing is coming back off those, you know, those bad things that happen to you, and every time they play the Eagles, they say that something bad is going to happen to them, and then when it happens, they tend to say, I knew it.
You have to keep in mind the Giants have not beaten the Eagles in 11 straight, going back to 1975. The Giants have not won a home game, whether it's here or Yale Bowl or you name it, against Philadelphia since 1972. So losing is kind of inborn. They've got to try and get rid of that taste.
That's the thing that you want to do, and those things are easy to talk about, you know, but they're hard to do because somewhere in there it's in there, and you just hope that you can get rid of those things when something bad happens, and you hope that maybe a Lawrence Taylor, a new player, comes in. He doesn't know about all those things, and he just goes in and plays and makes something happen.
Would you expect Phil Simms to suddenly utilize his wide receivers a little bit more? In other words, he's passed to Mulledy and he's passed to Shirk, but we haven't seen Ernest Gray, we haven't seen Johnny Perkins, we haven't seen Mike Freedy. In fact, we haven't seen wide receivers for either team very much.
For either team, and I think that's something that the Giants will do in the second half. I know that early in the first half, they had some good field positions, and instead of taking a shot once in a while and going for a big one or a touchdown, they were content just to stay with the, you know, the possession type things. And I think maybe they realize that the next time, you know, that they get a good field position, they may as well go for one because they've had success against the Eagles with that in the past.
What about defensively? One of the Eagles' weapons today is the little swing passes to Wilbert Montgomery. Makes him look like Fran Tarkington and Chuck Foreman. That's quite a combination now with Jaworski and Montgomery.
Right, and there's really nothing that you can do about that on defense because if you bring your linebackers up tight to always play Montgomery, then you're leaving the Carmichaels, the Charlie Smiths, the Krefleys open deep. So you have to play off them a little and hope that you can come up and make the tackle when he catches the ball.
John, you're a very physical man. Were you physical in the clubhouse?
Sometimes I broke a knuckle once. I got a little excited and I said some funny things that I wasn't proud of after I said them, but I would tend to be. I would, you know, kick garbage cans, and sometimes they were full of ice, and you know, not too smart, but
by
physical.
the way, it's not that I want to hold his hand, but I do. If you can possibly see that, can you see that? That's 100. What that stands for is John Madden was the third youngest coach in NFL history to win 100 games. Curly Lambeau and George Halas and John Madden, and it gives me an opportunity to congratulate you. That's a remarkable milestone, and there's not a scar on you.
Well, there's some scars underneath. You know,
deep
that's
inside,
where yeah, somewhere you know that, ooh.
Well, let's find out not about the scars, but the scratches that occurred during the first half on our statistical board. In first downs, as you can see, nothing really noteworthy there, nor in yards rushing or in yards passing. Actually, a pretty closely contested ball game. The Eagles will be kicking off to the Giants now at the start of the second half. Backing up is Louis Jackson, and it'll go into the end zone. He had Alvin Garrett back there with him. So the Giants will get a chance in the second half to see if they can get their offense started, as Jackson and Garrett will come off, and Phil Simms and company will put the ball in play 1st and 10 on the Giant 20-yard line. Ernest Gray going wide right. Freedy goes wide left, and the running backs are Billy Taylor and Leon Perry. And they'll try Taylor. Well, Billy Taylor picks up a couple. You know, a thought about the Eagles too, John. For them to be coming back from a Super Bowl, even though they're among the favorites for the NFL title. History suggests otherwise, and again, Hairston is down for the second time today. You know, only two teams have returned to win the Super Bowl after losing the previous season's title game. That would be Miami and Dallas. So they've got a lot of work to do.
Well, they sure do, and I'm sure that Dick Vermeil realizes that as much as anyone. You see Carl Hairston there. He looks like he may have hurt his shoulder on that play, but he was the guy that made the tackle. You know, he makes more tackles when the ball goes away from him, I think, any defensive lineman in the National Football League.
And yet most linemen would just as soon have you come at him rather than have to run across the field after. 10-3 in favor of Philadelphia early in the third. So the Giants now have it 2nd and 7 on their own 23-yard line. Looking for Billy Taylor, and he's swallowed up by Ken Clark, number 71.
There's a lot of flags on that play. 2 or 3 of them came out on that one, Vin, so something went wrong. It's probably against the Giants, too. It usually is. Watch this. It's a screen type thing, but the defensive lineman came out, and he was the first guy out there, and that's Ken Clark, number 71.
Ken Clark was butting heads with Ernie Hughes, and then he just left Hughes and ran across the field unmolested. And we'll have a holding penalty against the Giants. Those plays take a while to develop, and I guess sooner or later a lineman is guilty of grabbing.
Well, usually on a screen, the lineman has a chance to grab 2 because he has to block 2. He blocks 1, lets him go, and then gets out in front of the screen to block another one, and that one looked like it came on the second block.
Holding. Offense, number 68, refuse. 3rd down.
Well, that's J.T. Turner, and there is somewhat of a shocking upset. That's Andre Gomez and Jimmy Connors. Not over yet, but expected Connors to put him away earlier than that. 3rd and 14 on the 16-yard line. That's Hairston. But Hairston hit him from the blind side. He's not hurting too much, John.
Look at him. That shoulder was okay. You know, and this is one of the most underrated players in the National Football League, Carl Hairston. He does it all. He's their defensive captain. He wasn't in the Pro Bowl last year. He's one that should be.
Now, that's a very demoralizing turn of events. Dave Jennings punting from the end zone. Wally Henry standing in midfield. The Giants needed to do something offensively, and instead they've gone backwards. And Jennings' punt to Henry will be fielded at the 47. And he got away from little Alvin Garrett, but Garrett at least shook him up as well as hurting himself. And Garrett hurts his right leg, and he, of course, returns the kicks.
The 1981 Honda Prelude is a pleasure to look at in many different ways. You can look at it as a sporty car with front-wheel drive and sleek, racy looks. You can look at it as a comfortable car with a luxurious interior and power steering that comes with the optional automatic. You can look at it as an economy car. After all, it is a Honda. But then again, you can look at it like this.
Honda, we make it simple.
Deadline, Saturday, September 12th at Sears. 3 heavy-duty shock absorbers are now on sale. From $7.99 to $12.99 each, you save 20 to 25% on a smooth ride. And while they last, 25% off at Sears. Weather Handler all-season steel belted radial tires. Save 25%, as low as $29.75 per tire while they last. For great automotive values, you can count on Sears.
She returned to her mother after 20 years.
How dare you come back and make me care?
Betty Davis and Jenna Rowland, Strangers, the story of a mother and daughter, Tuesday.
Don't forget, U.S. Open Tennis Championships, Bjorn Borg and David Carter following football. Meanwhile, Jimmy Connors battling for his life against Andre Gomez. 1st and 10 on the Giant 47, and here's Wilbert Montgomery, and Harry Carson brings him down at the 45-yard line. Harold Carmichael hasn't touched the ball today. Charlie Smith hasn't had his hands on it. And, of course, the Giant wide receivers have been empty-handed all day.
I don't think there's been one thrown to Carmichael. I think one play that Jaworski may have been looking for him.
There was one to Carmichael, and you remember Harry Carson broke it up late in the first half.
Right, and Stan Walters comes off the field. You know, he's been having trouble with a knee and a groin. I think he may have hurt his groin again on that last play.
2nd and 8 on the 45-yard line. Kenny is playing left tackle. And here comes Montgomery, dragged down by the rookie, Lawrence Taylor. Got him from behind.
They're going to try Lawrence Taylor and see what he's made of, but I don't think they'll be doing this very much in the season. They're trying to give the rookie, watch his catch-up speed. Montgomery had a couple steps on him, and he was able to take 1-2 large steps, and he was right at the sideline with him. That's going to be an outstanding player.
Lawrence Taylor, the rookie out of North Carolina, he didn't play till his junior year in high school, and he has 4.6 speed, they tell me. 3rd and 6 on the 43 of the Giants. Jaworski to Billy Camfield, and Carson can't hold him, and over to get him is Van Pelt and Jackson, and Jackson is shaken up on the play.
I think that this is a big part of the Eagles shotgun, and Billy Camfield, he's going to do a lot like Preston Pearson did for the Dallas Cowboys. He plays the running back, and he's a slot or a wing, and he runs patterns like a wide receiver. But it's always the inside guy on these shotguns who's getting thrown to. Look at Charlie Smith out there blocking. He's saying, well, if you're not going to throw it to me, I'll put on some arm pads and be a blocker for a while.
Well, it's 1st and 10 on the Giant 26-yard line. And Jaworski intercepted by Terry Jackson. He's at the 15, 20, 25, 30-yard line. Intended receiver was Harold Carmichael.
That was one of those things that everyone says Carmichael's 6'7", and you can throw anything to him. Watch him. He's in the slot, up in the top. You see, he's running an out pattern, and it's way over his head. He can be any height when he's that tall. Jackson was behind, and then he brings the ball right back to Jaworski.
So the one thing that could help a down-spirited offense is a highly spirited defense, and they've done it. A 25-yard return. 1st and 10 on the Giant 30-yard line. In motion is Ernest Gray. They'll go to Leon Perry, and Hairston can't get him, but other Eagles can. Score of another ball game. Seattle leading Cincinnati 21-10 in the 2nd quarter. Pete Johnson just scored on a 3-yard run. A pickup of 2 on that sweep. That makes it 2nd and 8 on the Giant 32-yard line. So the interception by Terry Jackson. The Giants trying to move. That's Billy Taylor in motion. Overshot Ernest Gray. One of the problems for Sims was heat put on by Jerry Robinson.
And that's one of the things. You know, he could have had a shot at Gray there, but Jerry Robinson was right at his legs. Now watch here. We see both the receivers coming off. See, one is going to stop and go to the sideline. Gray goes deep. The ball is over his head, but that really wasn't Sims's fault.
No.
That was Taylor's fault, who missed Robinson, that put pressure on Sims, so he had to throw deep to Gray.
Just before Sims threw the pass, he had to look over just to see where Robinson was, and that misdirected. Gray goes wide right. Frady is left, and Sims running out of the shotgun. And he didn't get his first down. He had to get to the 40-yard line. So Ray Perkins, that's kind of a gamble, isn't it?
I think it is. It was a quarterback draw. You know, when you get in a shotgun, you don't have the backs back there. So if you're going to, now watch Sims here. He gets the ball. He didn't go back far enough. It was a little too soon. You see the linebackers were just there waiting for him. Had he dropped a couple yards, let the linebackers go to their drop, then maybe it would have worked.
So Dave Jennings will now be kicking from the 25. His most recent punt, he had a kick out of the end zone. Dave arrows it low to Wally Henry at the 25. To the 30. Still on his feet and out of bounds at the 35. And there's some scuffling going on down there on the Giant bench.
Listen to that. That tends to happen on special teams. Did you see Harold Carmichael, number 17? He was on the sidelines with his helmet off. When the action started, he put his helmet on.
Smart man. It's a 38-yard kick and a 5-yard return. And watch what happens now as Henry tries to get out. And there's some pulling and tugging, and the Eagles don't like it. So with 10 minutes and 3 seconds left to go in the third quarter, 10-3 Philadelphia.
You know people like us, we're teachers. Firemen, people just like you. These are the uniforms we wear at work.
But these are the uniforms we wear when we serve part-time in the reserves and the National Guard.
You see, in the reserves and the Guard, you not only serve your country,
You're part of a first-rate team.
training alongside real buddies,
Yet while you serve, you can live at home.
and keep your full-time job.
Because in the reserves and the Guard, you don't have to give up one life to live another.
The Reserves and the National Guard. Talk to your local recruiter.
Only Jeep would have the audacity to redefine capacity. Introducing the new Jeep Scrambler. Now anything goes. You can scramble a dune, carry a tune, laugh with the moon and the stars. Scramble to market, pack it and park it. Escape from the noise in the cars. Blow your top and keep you cool. Scramble to work or scramble to school. Fill up the tank and scramble away. With the mileage you get, you can scramble all day. New Jeep Scrambler. Now anything goes. From Jeep Corporation of American Motors.
Monday on a 1-hour WKRP, the doctor goes disco. Has he lost his mind or sold his soul? It's a special 1-hour WKRP Monday.
Keep your eye on Harold Carmichael, upper left-hand corner of your screen, number 17. He doesn't have his helmet on. Now watch.
This is a sign of an 11-year veteran. So he sees the skirmish, he's going to walk away. Now watch right here, someone is going to throw a punch at Carmichael. See it right there? He takes a step back. Watch him. He'll step back here, put his helmet on, and now take 2 steps forward.
Meanwhile, Jaworski live swings to Montgomery, and George Martin brings him down at about the 43-yard line. We have seen that play all day long.
One of the things that these teams are trying to do now with these great running backs like a Wilbert Montgomery, a Tony Dorsett, is to get the ball out to them where they don't have to run through the line and get hit by linemen and linebackers.
As you can see, Jimmy Connors has gotten off the deck against Ruben Gomez, so it's 3-all in that deciding set. 2nd and 3 on the Eagle 44. Carmichael wide right. Montgomery is on a wing, and they'll go to Harrington. Harrington got away from Martin, Haynes, and Carson knocks him out of bounds. Meanwhile, Dallas adding it on against Washington now, the Giants' foe next week. A 29-yard field goal by Rafael Septien, and it is 17-7 Big D. Miami leading St. Louis 20-0.
Yeah, watch Lawrence Taylor here, right here, number 56. He takes on the tight end. See, it's away from the ball. He's working him, says, throw him down. You go to the ground. I want to go find the ball. I tell you, he's not only fast and quick, but he's strong. Did you see the strength? How he handled that tight end?
1st and 10 on the Eagle 48-yard line. Second man, Wilbert Montgomery, got by Curtis McGriff, but he was hit on the side by Kelly and Van Pelt. And at the bottom is Bill Neal.
And we see Stan Walters back in there now, so I guess that groin or knee is okay.
Hey, John, Lawrence Taylor coming off the campus at North Carolina, and they refer to him as another Butkus. Would that be the highest possible praise for a linebacker?
Probably. Of course, Dick Butkus was a middle linebacker, but I think anytime that you put Butkus in a sentence with any other player, that's about as much as you can do.
2nd and 6 on the Giant 48. And a little swing to Harrington and Curtis McGriff. Curtis McGriff all over him. And McGriff shaken up. He was on the all-NFL rookie team when he came out of Alabama and converted to defensive end.
Right, he was a nose tackle, and you know, we had Gary Jeter here, and we'll see him. See with the left-handed stance here. He starts on his pass rush. It's going to be a screen, so he works out to the side here. Now he's moved to right end from nose tackle. Now watch right here. He goes to make the tackle, and it looked like his leg just flipped, you know, when it was in the air. The old leg whiplash or something. And he goes down.
Curtis fights his way back up. He's a big fella, as you can well imagine. 6'5", 270 pounds. He was a free agent picked up last year by the Giants.
He looks like an offensive lineman. Although he was, I guess, a move to defense, but he still looks like an offensive guy. Good number, 76.
Yes, that's the spirit. Don't forget the U.S. Open Tennis Championships. Bjorn Borg and David Carter will follow, and Jimmy Carter and Andre Gomez putting on a show. Jimmy Connors and Andre Gomez. The Giant spirit, that's Carl Barisic, number 78. They just picked him up. And it's 3rd and 14 on the Eagle 45. A great over-the-shoulder catch by Rodney Parker for the touchdown.
Well, that's the one that they were saving, Vin. We were talking the whole time that they hadn't thrown to the wide receivers in the shotgun, and they hadn't, but the first time they went to it, it sure worked pretty well, didn't it? See, Jaworski's back there at 5. He drops back 5 more. Just sees Parker out here to the left side, throws it right over his shoulder, and it's all the way.
You know, Parker had a 40-yard touchdown pass called back in Super Bowl because of illegal motion. Maybe this will take the pain out of that one.
Well, you know, he was so happy he darn near started to celebrate too soon. Did you see that? He started to lift the ball up about the 5. I've seen him spike it at the 2. One of my players did it once.
So Tony Franklin trying to hammer it through. And I mean, he really got that bare foot into it. So the Eagles now are leading handily with 8 minutes and 1 second left to go in the third quarter. Philadelphia 17, the Giants 3, and there's Rodney Parker.
In 1931, Texaco developed a new gasoline for emergency vehicles called Fire Chief. Not just for fire engines, but family cars, too. In 1941, Texaco helped create a fuel refining process for the national defense.
For tomorrow, Texaco is working on a way of turning America's plentiful coal into clean burning gas. These are some of the ways Texaco is making good use of America's energy resources.
Announcing Ford's incredible 21-day countdown. With just a few days till the new model year, only Ford offers this great way to save on both cars and trucks. Get $500 back on new 81 Mustangs, new 82 EXPs, or new 81 Fairmonts. Get $500 to $700 on new 81 light trucks or vans. It all adds up to $1 million a day in cash rebates and incentives, and it's a great reason to see your Ford dealer now.
There's $1 million a day coming from Ford.
Today on CBS Sports, the action continues as the greatest tennis players in the world compete in the U.S. Open Tennis Championships. Coming up after the game today on CBS Sports.
U.S. Open update. Connors leading Gomez 4-3 in that deciding set. On the Eagle bench, the wide receivers Charlie Smith, Rodney Parker, who just caught that 55-yard touchdown pass, along with Harold Carmichael and Wilbert Montgomery taking a rest. The Eagles kicking off, and it'll be Garrett taking it at the 4 to the 15, 20, 25, and out of bounds around the 30-yard line.
You know, we saw that shot of those 3 receivers. You know, in the shotgun, they also put in a 3rd wide receiver, and that's how Rodney Parker got in there.
Well, despite an interception by Terry Jackson, the Giants had to punt And the Eagles then went 5 plays, 63 yards. Took them a little over 2 minutes. Jaworski capping it with that 55-yarder to Rodney Parker. 1st and 10 on the Giant 30. Sims with Bunting on him. Throws no good. John Bunting had him, and then Carl Hairston knocked him down. You were talking about Billy Sims. Well, we're going to go to Brent Musburger and take a look at him at the NFL Today.
Good.
All right, Ben, thank you so much. Indeed, here is Billy Sims striking against San Francisco as Gary Danielson pulls out 39 yards. In college, Sims caught only 2 passes, but look at him now. Touchdown line. Back to Vin Scully.
All right, 2nd and 25 from the 15 as we had a look at Billy Sims up to his old tricks. Meanwhile, they put the squeeze on Leon Perry at the 22. John Bunting and Randy Logan bring him down.
We were just because he had it in his hands for a second.
Atlanta pulverizing New Orleans, so it's a bummer for New Orleans. 21-0 Atlanta. Meanwhile, tough one. Look at that. Kansas City 20 and Pittsburgh 19. Bill Kenny just hit to Carlos Carson for that touchdown.
Kansas City could be one of the most improved teams in the NFL this year.
4th and 17 on the 23. Jennings booting one to Wally Henry. Henry at the 33. And he is grabbed by Lawrence Taylor and then Byron Hunt, but it was Taylor who hit him first. Those 2 youngsters really flying down there, John.
Lawrence Taylor, as we see him take his helmet off here, he's earning that salary that a first-round draft choice gets.
I can tell a real cowboy from the drugstore kind, clean across Texas. The way he wears his hat will tell you. And the beer that you drink's a surefire giveaway, too. A lot of us drink light beer from Miller. We love the taste, but we surely appreciate that it's got 1/3 less calories than the regular kind. You see, you don't want to be filled up when you're out there punching doggies. Ain't that right, cowboy?
I didn't punch that doggy.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
These people all have one thing in common besides a happy smile. They all own dependable Toyota Corollas.
This Corolla's the most dependable car I've ever had.
I can rely on it.
We own 4.
No good. Intended for Ernest Gray. That's the first ball he's had today. Couldn't quite grab it.
Right, and it came very close to coming up with a big play because he had it in his hands for a second.
Atlanta pulverizing New Orleans, so it's a bummer for New Orleans. 21-0 Atlanta. Meanwhile, tough one. Look at that. Kansas City 20 and Pittsburgh 19. Bill Kenny just hit to Carlos Carson for that touchdown.
Kansas City could be one of the most improved teams in the NFL this year.
4th and 17 on the 23. Jennings booting one to Wally Henry. Henry at the 33. And he is grabbed by Lawrence Taylor and then Byron Hunt, but it was Taylor who hit him first. Those 2 youngsters really flying down there, John.
Lawrence Taylor, as we see him take his helmet off here, he's earning that salary that a first-round draft choice gets.
I can tell a real cowboy from the drugstore kind, clean across Texas. The way he wears his hat will tell you. And the beer that you drink's a surefire giveaway, too. A lot of us drink light beer from Miller. We love the taste, but we surely appreciate that it's got 1/3 less calories than the regular kind. You see, you don't want to be filled up when you're out there punching doggies. Ain't that right, cowboy?
I didn't punch that doggy.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
These people all have one thing in common besides a happy smile. They all own dependable Toyota Corollas.
This Corolla's the most dependable car I've ever had.
I can rely on it.
We own 4 Corollas right now, so I know they're well built.
Dependability. It's probably one reason the Toyota Corolla is the best-selling car in the world.
Dependable? Our company bought 34 Corollas.
What a feeling. Dependable. Toyota.
The Eagles in possession, 1st and 10, but they'll be on their own 23-yard line. Illegal use of the hands against Billy Camfield, number 37. He'll watch Camfield.
You see his hands up in the air. He's saying, I didn't do it. That's what an official probably sees, and he looks and says, you look too guilty.
That's after the fact. 1st and 10, Eagles on their own 23. They're leading 17-3. We have 6:27 left in the third, and there goes Harrington. And he got away from 2 Giants, and finally brought down by Haynes, shy of the 40-yard line.
Now we'll see this from behind. You see, as he comes to the defense, it's a little counter. So he started to the left, comes back to the right, keeps his feet going all the time. Now get your shoulder square again. That's it. Right up the field. Now come right to us, make a little move here, and then get the shoulders up again. You don't want to run parallel too long.
He made a good move on both Larry Flowers and Brian Kelly. That's what made that play go. 1st and 10 on the Eagle 39. Fake to Carmichael, and a pass to Montgomery, no good. Defending was Beasley Reese. So that's a switch. You fake to Carmichael as a short man, and you have Montgomery the deep man.
That was the thing. He faked twice. He first faked the run, and then he faked to Carmichael, and then he threw deep to Montgomery. And Ron Jaworski's going down and telling the official it looked like he hit Montgomery before the ball got there. I like that spirit in those quarterbacks. Sometimes they have to go out and tell an official something,
yeah,
too.
When he went down the field to hollow the official, Beasley Reese had a few words to Jaworski, too, about hitting it.
Beasley Reese is his first year as a weak safety. He said at first he was playing too aggressive like a strong safety. Then he was playing too cautious like every play was a triple reverse.
2nd and 10 on the Eagle 39-yard line. That's Lawrence Taylor, but he got away from him and threw it away. Lawrence Taylor, the kid, put a lot of heat on him.
Jaworski throws it away. He knew he threw it away. You knew he threw it away. But Montgomery was out there. And if you direct the ball towards a receiver, then they won't call that penalty.
Oh, it is 3rd and 10 on the 39-yard line. You're so calm up here. I was just thinking, if you were down on the field now, you might not have that overall optimistic cool that you're showing.
I used to be crazy, but I've learned to relax.
Welcome to the club.
If you believe that.
Yeah, right. I got some Meadowland I want to tell you.
These are the Meadowlands.
3rd and 10 on the 39. And Jaworski down the middle. He's got Carmichael, and he's upended by Van Pelt and goes down to about the 42-yard line.
We're going to see this again. You know, he's been looking for Carmichael. We see Carmichael in the inset. He's in the slot. He's running the pattern. He gets by one, turns to the inside. What a target he is. Right in the middle of the field. You see him? He was right between the 2 hash marks, and Jaworski could really see it. Now watch. See, now Taylor's on him. Taylor can bump in the first 5. He should have given him a little more of a jam. Now see how you can pick up Carmichael in midfield, and he works back a little.
Good one-handed grab by Brad Van Pelt to knock him down. 1st and 10 on the 42 of the Giants, and Jaworski incomplete, intended for Charlie Smith.
The Eagles had an interesting game plan. They started out running, of course, and throwing to their running backs, and now we can see that in the second half they have a 17-3 lead, that they're starting to open up a little more. And that card that Dick Vermeil has there is starting to come up with a few better plays, I think.
Does he carry it all the time?
Well, he carries it all the time, he says, until the end of the game when he gets frustrated. Then he sticks it in his pants. He said, then I'm not looking at it anymore when you see that.
2nd and 10 on the Giant 42-yard line. Jaworski to Harrington, and Harrington runs into Harry Carson, among others. Right now, for an NFL Today report, we'll go back to Brent Musburger in New York. Get a report on Atlanta, New Orleans.
All right, Vinny, thank you so much. The Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints. The storyline, Bum Phillips now takes over the Saints. He's already trailing by 2 touchdowns. Archie Manning pulls out, completes one on the flat. The ball comes loose, and Kenny Johnson scoops it up for the Falcons. And now Atlanta leads New Orleans 21-0. Back to Vin Scully.
6 on the Giant 38, and Jaworski, the left side to Montgomery, no good. He was hounded by Brad Van Pelt. We now get a U.S. Open update in that do-or-die set. Jimmy Connors has taken a 5-4 lead over Andre Gomez. Borg and Carter will follow our football game. With 4 minutes and 5 seconds left in the third quarter, it is 17-3 Eagles. However, Max Runager will now be punting. Beasley Reese is standing inside the Giant 10-yard line. They don't return Runager's punch too often. And he's going to try and arrow this one out. It hits and goes out of bounds with a flag on the play.
With that flag, Vin, I'm sure one of the Eagles left early, and Runager will have to do it again. Well, that's out there in the 1-yard line. That's perfect. That's exactly where you want to put it. He just turned and pointed it right to that 1-yard line and put it there.
Legal man downfield.
Right.
So Vermeil is furious, as you can see, discussing the ancestry of some dogs.
Vermeil is there, and he was thinking that you know, with 3 minutes, 50 seconds left in the third quarter, that may have done it. That may have put him out.
You know, although Runager ranked only 10th in the NFC with an average of 39.
Number 59.
Watch this. Only 35 of his 75 kicks were returned last year. This is a case in point.
Watch him. He takes that ball and he points it right to that first pylon, and he hits it in there perfectly. Look, a little bounce, then it takes that right bounce to the outside. The official's right there, and he says this is where it is.
The Runager will now be punting from Eagle territory, and that means Beasley Reese gives way to Alvin Garrett, and Garrett is standing on the 10-yard line of New York. Wow, almost blocked Frank Marion, and it'll go into the end zone. Frank Marion came within a whisker of blocking that punt.
You know, you usually see that in early season games. You see a lot of games won and lost by special teams.
Take another look.
Runager got that ball off very quick. It was a perfect snap. You know, had that ball not been right there, maybe it would have been blocked.
Don't forget, more great NFL action next week on CBS Sports. Atlanta at Green Bay, Chicago, San Francisco, Detroit at San Diego, Los Angeles at New Orleans, the Giants at Washington. That's the one you'll see, and we'll be there. St. Louis at Dallas, Tampa Bay at Kansas City. 1st and 10 on the Giant 20-yard line. Sims releasing to Perry with Turner blocking. And he bumped into Billy Taylor, or he might have picked up some more.
He could have. Now, this is a screen, but it's a running screen. See, it's not a delay. See, he starts out there, Perry starts out there, then he turns the ball upfield right after he catches it. And watch the movement that he's making. Had he not run into Taylor, you're right, he would have gained another 5 or 6 yards.
He got a pretty good block from J.T. Turner, too.
Right, but there's a lot of bodies in there. See that? That's good stuff. A lot of white jerseys, blue jerseys. The intensity really has picked up in this regular season.
1st and 10 on the Giant 37-yard line. He's got Billy Taylor, and he's to the 45-yard line. He has to get to the 47-yard line for a first down.
You know, when he does get to the 47 or 50, I think that will be the time that the Giants will start to open up and maybe go to their outside receivers the way the Eagles have.
There's Dave Jennings, like all punters, edgy, restless, constantly on the move.
Kickers are different. That's a different breed.
2nd and 3 on the 44. Good reception by Ernest Gray. He beat Herman Edwards by having to come back and get it. First down.
Now that gives them the first down that they've been looking for. Now they have two things. One, they have a first down, and two, they're in Eagle territory. Early in the first half when they got in there, they didn't go deep. They didn't go for a big one. I would anticipate that they will now in this drive.
So 1st and 10 on the Eagle 48. We have 2:20 left in the third, and it's 17-3 Eagles. In motion is Ernest Gray. Here comes Doug Coder. And Coder is bumped out by Randy Logan and John Bunting.
You know, John Bunning is a player that really isn't talked a lot about on this Eagles, but is he solid? You never get much on John Bunning. Plus, he's the guy that calls the defenses. He plays left linebacker, but he gets the signals, as we see him right here. See, he gets the signals from Marion Campbell, and he'll get in the huddle. You just saw him. He calls the defense.
He's second to Carmichael in experience with the Eagles.
I like him.
2nd and 10 on Philadelphia's 48-yard line. Ernest Gray, no good. John Bunning right there with him.
And look at Sims. He's running up there like Jaworski talking to the official, and I agree that the receiver was bumped when the ball was in the air. That's what Sims was saying. They didn't listen to him, though. Look at this one. You know, Don Shula's a great coach. He always gets his teams ready for that opener.
Well, it's 3rd and 10 on the Eagle 48-yard line. Freedy and Perkins go left. Gray goes right, and Coder is on a wing with Taylor. So they go out of the shotgun. And he's got Perkins with a flag all over the place. So hold everything at the 32-yard line, the reception, but flags everywhere.
There's 3 flags back there, and I'm sure it's holding on the Giants. They caught him, and someone must have held because 3 yellow ones came out right on that right side.
So that would have been a big play, but it's a Powder River play. Chuck Eberling, our referee. The umpire is Gordon Wells. The saddest words of tongue and pen. What might have been, and for the Giants, they lose a big gainer. Here's the call by Chuck.
Holding, offense, number 72, 3rd down.
And that's Gordon King, the 4-year veteran from Stanford.
And those are the saddest words that you can hear. 3rd down, you have a completion for a 1st down, and you hear holding, number 72.
So it is 3rd and 20 on the Giant 42-yard line. And down he goes. Greg Brown, number 98. We haven't seen him today. He's the rookie out of Kansas State. And he's the one they say has a terrific pass rush. Where'd he come from?
He's a natural pass rusher. You know, he's out of Kansas State, but he only played 1 year at Kansas State. He was in construction in Washington, D.C. And we just saw an upset Phil Simms.
Yep.
You know, he didn't have a chance. There was no one open, and he had a big rush. Nothing a quarterback can do about that.
4th and 35 as Jennings punts it to Wally Henry at the 23-yard line. Henry pinned down at about the 35. At the bottom of that heap, quick to get down, was Beasley Reese. 1 minute and 32 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Philadelphia leading handily now, particularly now that the Giants have had to surrender the ball. Had they completed that pass instead of the holding penalty, the Giants were apparently on a move. But bad clubs make big mistakes.
That's right, and they tend to haunt them the whole year. You know, they've really never recovered from that 1st half fumble, the Giants.
1st and 10 on the Eagle 36-yard line. Quick release, and Carmichael dropped it and fell on it.
And Harold wants to stay there and think about it because he doesn't do that very often.
Another tennis report, U.S. Open. Andre Gomez is up 6-5 and serving, so he has a chance to put Jimmy Connors away. We'll keep you up to date on that one. 2nd and 10 on the Eagle 36. Play action fake, Van Pelt. The pass to Harrington, and he's decked by Lawrence Taylor at about the 41-yard line. Flags on the play.
That was something of the 2 great outside linebacker bookends. Van Pelt rushed from the outside. Now watch Taylor. He sees it here. He's playing man-to-man on Harrington. So he sees the ball, throws right back up on him. Boom. He knows how to tackle, doesn't he?
One of the few bright spots for the Giants today, and now another penalty going against New York.
And that looked like they marked off about 20 yards on that one. They don't have any.
Personal
20.
foul, unnecessary roughness, number 56, defense.
Oh, no, Chuck. That's wrong. You know what they had to call him? He can swing his arm as he makes a tackle. He can't swing and hit him in the head. But watch him. He's just wrapping his arms around him. He didn't hit him in the head. He hit him in the shoulder pad with his right hand. There's nothing wrong with that.
Meanwhile, there goes Wilbert Montgomery. And finally knocked out by Bill Courier, one of the newer Giants. Courier knocking him out of bounds inside the 10. But I think that penalty really capped the day for New York.
Well, it sure did, and it wasn't there. But did you see Wilbert Montgomery run on that play? Watch him. When he gets square and turned upfield, there's not many better runners in this league than this man here. Watch him. He gives a little move there in the straight arm, the old straight arm. No tear-away jerseys anymore. Looking to the inside, and he knows where to go.
Bill Courier, they just picked up as a free agent from the New England Patriots. First and goal on the 8, and that's Hubert Oliver, but he takes a lick from Lawrence Taylor and Harry Carson.
I'll tell you, Lawrence Taylor has made a number of tackles, and in his first regular season game, wait until he gets 5 or 6 games under his belt. He's going to be a force in this league.
John, do you think that roughness call against Lawrence Taylor would maybe intimidate a kid, make him inclined to be overly cautious?
No, he's too good a player because the coaches will show that there's nothing wrong with that. He didn't swing. You can't swing and hit him in the head, but you can sure tackle him in the shoulder.
Second and goal from the 7. Jaworski, a little alley-oop, and he overthrew the oop man, Harold Carmichael.
That's what the oop man says. He told me once, he said, just because I'm 6'7", that doesn't mean that they can throw at 8'2". He said, I don't like it when they do because I don't like to be up there exposed. Ooh, look at that one.
Atlanta really jumping on it. New Orleans now 27-0. Bartkowski to Alfred Jenkins, 25 yards, and a penalty against New York.
Holding, defense, number 10, first down.
They're really working these penalties on the linebackers. They got Brad Van Pelt, who plays on the left side holding, who's probably on a tight end.
So Dick Vermeil, with everything going his way now, has it first and goal on the Giant 4. Here's Oliver. And a flag on the play.
And these fans are getting excited. They don't like that. It's another one against the Giants.
It's a personal foul against the Giants.
This is a tough one. They're trying to play goal line defense or aggressive. Everyone's down low here. Everyone's hitting. Let's see. Right there. See the
75 on the defense. First down.
What they got him for was touching the face mask, and that was number 75,
That's
George Martin.
Yeah, Martin's hand just came up out of the pile trying to grab anything, and unfortunately he got the mask. So it's first and goal from the 2.
This is the thing that Dick Vermeil thinks that Oliver can do. Watch this good goal line play. See all those bodies in there? Everyone's staying low. Oliver tries to jump over. There's no place to jump. A second effort. He darn near makes it. But you see the ball didn't reach the goal line. The ball has to cross the plane of the goal line.
Terry Jackson prevented the touchdown. You can see that Connors evidently broke Gomez's serve, and they're 6-all. Just as the third quarter ends here. The CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League will continue after this word from your local station.
Saturdays this fall, Walt Disney is coming to CBS, bringing you excitement, thrills, and the brightest of stars. Join the fun on Walt Disney.
This is CBS.